Hi guys, Mary again from Mary's Vegan Table. Yesterday I was here showing you guys how to wrap pasteles. Today I decided, you know what, why make you guys wait to learn how to make the vegan pasteles altogether. So today I am going to show you guys how to make the fillings and how to make the masa for the complete pasteles recipe. Right now I have lentils. I have lentils. I rinsed the lentils, and right now I have them in a pot of water that I'm going to put to boil. And I'm going to turn it on medium high. I'm going to cover it. When the water evaporates, you got to make sure you stir it though, because if you don't stir it every so often, it'll just sit and water will evaporate and the lentils will burn. So make sure you stir it every so often. And once the water is evaporated, we're going to add our seasonings to this. So we're going to cover this and let it come to a boil. And check it every so often until the water is evaporated. And here's the other filling. This is the soy chunk filling. This is the one that comes out, it's like the roast pork that's put into the kernel that isn't vegan. But this is the soy chunks. And you see I have them in water. I'm going to have them soaking for a while. Then I'm going to rinse them again. Let them soak a little bit more and rinse them again just to get rid of that soy taste that comes with. It has a particular taste to it. So I just want to get rid of that taste before I put it on the stove to season it and everything. So we're just going to let this soak, do its thing and then I'll be back to show you guys how to make the masa. So here you can see the water is evaporating. I actually had to add a little more water to it earlier because the water started evaporating, but the lentils weren't really soft yet. So if that happens, just add some more water to go cover the lentils a little bit above, about 2 inches above the lentils, and just let it continue to boil, but keep stirring it every so often. Checking on it so that it doesn't the whole thing doesn't evaporate and your lentils end up burning. Okay, so we got the lentils almost just about done. Just gonna let the water evaporate a little more. Once that's done, I'm gonna season up the lentils, and then we'll move on to the other filling, to the soy chunk filling. I'll just put the lid back on. Okay, so you can see the lentils are ready. The reason why I call it ground lentil meat is because I don't leave the lentils whole. This is okay. This is going to break down in here. But I don't leave the lentils whole. I leave some of them whole because smash them up. Okay. Well, honestly, the water could have evaporated a little more. But as it cooks, while I'm seasoning it up, it's going to start evaporating anyways. So we just take a potato masher and we mash them down. You can do this in a blender or a food processor. Just make sure that you don't blend it all down to a paste. You want to leave a few lentils in here. You want to leave it with, a nice texture. You can see that it's already starting to break down. Let me lower the heat. And a lot of people love the lentil meat. A lot of vegans, they prefer the whole foods, like lentils, over a lot of, like soy, or, there's nothing wrong with soy. It's loaded with protein, as are lentils too. Lentils are superfood. But this is good. If you guys ever want to try this recipe, let me know how it turns out. how you like it. Okay, so this is about enough right now. For now. I'll see if I need to mash it down a little bit more. I need to lower the heat a little more. Okay. So, I'm going to start adding my sofrito. And I left, there's a video just recently posted, uploaded to my YouTube channel on how to make the sofrito. So I'm putting in a tablespoon. This is a whole bag. This is a whole bag of lentils, by the way, guys. Not the really big bags, but the regular size bags of lentil. Let me get a bag so I can show you guys exactly what size lentil it is. Okay, this is, let me put my glasses on. This is a 16-ounce bag of lentils. Okay, I'm using a 16-ounce bag of lentils. That's what's in the pot right now. So, I'm stirring the sofrito. Now, all these seasonings here are going to make up the sazon and the adobo. I just don't have everything mixed together, so I'm just adding it in, adding in the seasoning separately. But I also have a video on how to make the sofrito and the sazon. I'll link everything for you guys. Okay, now this here, this is a mixture that you have to make, especially for when you're making the vegan pork stew filling. This is a mixture that has to be made in the blender. And since I already have this extra made, what I'll do is I'll leave the recipe for this in the box below for you guys. And it's really simple, and the ingredients are simple. They're not difficult ingredients to find. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of this. Mix that in there. I just recently grounded up some coriander seeds. I can't find the powder, so I just buy the seeds and grind them down. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of that. Okay. Oh my God. That coriander, it makes all the difference in the world, guys. Oh, it smells so good. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit, about a teaspoon of oregano. A dash of pepper, black pepper. This is just, that's nothing. That'll break down here. That's just from, that's just the skin of the lentils that got boiled. I'm gonna put, I just bought this onion powder. I don't know why I didn't, here, I got the open onion powder right here. It's the garlic powder that I'm supposed to grab. So here's the onion powder. Put about two tablespoon of onion powder. Let me lower this even more and grab the garlic powder. Okay, here's the garlic powder, about a tablespoon of garlic powder. This is grounded down achote seeds. This is what you need to color the oil with, but you need the seeds. This was the seeds, but I grounded them down. But I also have oil made from the seeds. Isn't that a pretty color? Okay, so I'm just going to add a pinch of this. A pinch. That's like a quarter of a teaspoon. And be careful with that because this stuff stains, guys. So be careful when you use it. So this is basically for color, but it also gives it a nice earthy taste. Okay. Now I'm going to add half a can of tomato sauce. Okay, that is let me see, get my glasses on again. This is 8-ounce can. I'm gonna use half of it for the lentils. Oh my god, it smells so good. So it's the coriander. The coriander makes it makes such a big difference when you're cooking Spanish food. You could tell the difference between when there's coriander in it and when there's not. It makes such a big difference. It tastes really good. Okay. Now we're going to add some salt to taste. Okay, salt to taste. Be careful because sea salt is saltier than, regular salt. And besides, we want to use the sea salt, the natural sea salt, because it's not processed with animal bone char. That tastes good. Okay. So like I said, salt that to taste. Let me taste this here. Oh my god, it's so good. It could use a little more salt though. Okay. Let me get a fresh spoon to taste. And the stove is on the whole time. Well, it was on. It's on very low. Right now the stove is on very low. The heat, very low heat. Because this starts popping everywhere. And this will thicken. As it cools, it'll thicken. So let's try it now. Perfect. Oh my god, that coriander with the fresh sofrito. Okay, so this filling is done. I'm gonna put this on the side, clean up this mess here that I left on my stove, and we'll move on to the vegan pork filling. It's so good. Okay. So here, you can see I have the soy chunks. They're soaking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strain them. I'm going to squeeze them out. I've showed this in another video, but I'll show it to you guys here too, so you guys don't have to be bouncing around from video to video. I'm just going to squeeze these out. I'm putting them back in this bowl. I'm going to rinse out this strainer, sieve. Okay. And now I'm going to fill this up again. I mean, you could rinse this off and use it, but I just like to, this is just me. Like OCD or, with certain things. So, okay. Like I said, you could easily just use it right now. You could squeeze it out. in the strainer. Just, put it in the strainer and start squeezing it and adding it back into the bowl and add your seasonings and what have you. But I like to soak it a little bit longer. So I'm just going to add this back in here. Add a little more cold water to it. Let it soak for about another 5, maybe 10 minutes. And then we'll come back to it. Okay, so while the soy chunks are soaking, I'm going to make the sauce that we need. It's another sofrito basically that we're making to add to the vegan pork stew. So I'm going to show you guys how to make it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cloves of garlic. Okay. I'll put 5 cloves of garlic in. Normally I would put a whole clove of garlic, but I'm low on garlic. So we're going to put 5 cloves in. Don't even bother chopping them because everything's going to get blended together. Give them a good whack with your knife. Take out them frustrations. Okay. So we got the peels off of our garlic. And I'm going to throw them right here into my blender. I also have 3 small bay leaves. I'll throw that in there in the blender. Medium-sized onion. You could chop that up roughly. I'm going to throw that into the blender as well. Throw these into the blender. Okay, so to our blender we have the onion and the garlic. Now I'm going to add about a teaspoon of oregano. Yeah. Let's make that 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of oregano. Gonna add about a tablespoon of onion powder. Tablespoon of garlic. And a dash of pepper. Quarter teaspoon of coriander. Now you guys, this is a quarter teaspoon of coriander. You guys, you can buy adobo and you can buy the sazon already made. It'll go a lot quicker. This is just, I do this because I have more control over the salt intake. And I just like, making sure that I know what goes into it, basically. But, they already have the stuff. They even have the all-natural adobo and sazon available. So I'm going to add just a tiny dash of the achote, a tablespoon of the sofrito, and I'm going to add half a teaspoon of vinegar. Maybe just a teaspoon of vinegar. That's it, just a teaspoon of vinegar. Okay, and now I'm going to add about a quarter cup of olive oil. If I could get it opened. Actually, I'm putting a half a cup in. Okay, a half a cup of olive oil. Okay, now we'll blend this up thoroughly. Make sure it's blended thoroughly because remember we have those bay leaves in there, so we want them grounded up good. Excuse the noise. Okay, this should be blended up pretty good. Fighting over here. Okay. This is basically, we're going to marinate the soy chunks in this. Okay, so I just want you guys to see what this looks like. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it right back in here because I am going to end up using the whole thing. And then sloshing the blender up with some water to get all of it out and to pour it into soy chunks. Okay, so I actually have two containers of soy chunks soaking because it's pastele season, guys, so I need to make plenty of these. So I'm gonna strain this one out. Okay. So we're just gonna squeeze the water out of them. I'm gonna finish squeezing the water, and I'm squeezing the water out, and I'm putting them back into the container. There. All right, so I'm gonna finish these up, and then I'll be right back to show you guys what to do with the marinade sauce. Okay, so we squeezed out all the water. And yeah, this one too. So now we're going to take our mix. I'm going to pour it in here. Okay. We're going to save this little bit for later. Okay, so we have our soy chunks in our pot, and we have all our marinade in it. We're just going to mix it up. Let it just let it saute for a little bit. I mean, some people, you could let it saute for about an hour. You know, I mean, not saute, sorry, marinade for about an hour. Or you don't really have to. Just cook so long that everything melts together beautifully. I'm gonna get this over to the stove, you guys. First, I'm going to show you, see how everything is mixed in there nice. Okay, I'm going to move this over to the stove. And what I'm going to do is, just going to add some water in here. About maybe a half a cup of water. Just make sure you get all those seasonings. Okay, got that. Rinse off my hands. Okay, we'll get this bad boy on the stove. Okay, so we have our soy chunks on medium high, already marinated in our other sofrito sauce. And I'm going to pour in the remainder that I swashed the remains up with water in the picture from the blender. Okay, so just blend that up. Mix that up. I'm going to add a can of tomato sauce. And I'm also going to rinse, add water to this to get the remaining sauce out of the can. Okay. This is an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Now, I got all this in here. And we are going to have to season this up more, believe it or not. Because there's no salt in here at all. So let's mix this up. I'm going to add about 2 cups of water. You want to make sure the water is... this is good. I'll add a little more because we're going to have to add that sauce to our masa mix. And we need a cup of it. Or maybe more. It depends. But usually it's just a cup of this mix that we need. And already you can see the colors coming together. Now we're going to add some salt to taste. I don't really care for bland pasteles, even as a child. So when I got older and I was able to make my own pasteles, that's the one I said, I'm going to add more seasoning to my pasteles. And so I did. Now, let me taste this. That's nice. That's really nice. Okay. Let's add a little more color. I'm going to add a little bit of the achote that I grounded up. And how I grounded it, I just bought this is about 2 teaspoons. A teaspoon and a half, I guess. I buy the seeds. I mean, they do sell it already in the powder form. But if I can't find the powder form, and anyway, I need the seeds anyways because I need to boil them in oil to get that oil color. So I put them. I bought a coffee grinder, a little cheap coffee grinder that works fine, and it works on everything that I need to grind down. My coriander, my achote seeds. You name it, I could do it with that thing. Okay. So we'll add a little more pepper. Season to taste, guys. A little more garlic powder. A little more onion powder. Put a little more coriander in there. Love that coriander. Just a tiny bit of coriander. If you want just a tiny bit of oregano. Because oregano goes a long way too when it comes to taste. Oh, that's not even a teaspoon. And what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to add more water to this because it's kind of thick. Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay. So we're going to cover this up. And we're going to start making our masa. Always make this first before you make your masa. Because we need to put a cup of this in the masa for that flavor as well, you know. So let me taste this one more time. It's pretty good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it boil, simmer actually, and come back and taste it again and see if it needs, because you know, you just need time for all the flavors, all the ingredients to melt together. Okay, and we're gonna start cutting up. I'm cutting mine up because I don't grate them by hand. The whole purpose for me really for buying the Ninja blender was to actually make the masa for the pasteles because I really didn't want to grind by hand. So I'm adding this bowl halfway with some cold water. I'm adding just a tiny bit of salt to it. Okay, I'm gonna get the vegetables, the root vegetables that we need, and a pair of latex gloves, because when you cut up those green bananas, the sap that comes out of them is extremely sticky. Also, if you're using a knife, wrap that handle up with plastic, and I don't like using plastic wrap, but in this case, wrap it up with plastic wrap or whatever you may have, a rag or a bandana, whatever, because it's really hard to get off of the knife handle, especially if the knife handle is like that rubber. The knife blade itself, it's easier to get off. If you do get it, actually some oil gets it off easily too. You could use a little oil on it and just, scrub it with the sponge. And if you get it on your hands, oil, it'll take a little bit, but the oil will help get it off your hands also. That stuff is so sticky, and it's like the most annoying feeling there is. So protect your hands from them green bananas. Okay, so since I'm making a small batch of pasteles, here I have one small tortilla. This is also a root vegetable. You can find this in any supermarket, Stop and Shop, Met Food, Fine Fare, whatever supermarket. Everything is all in the produce section. Here is a green plantain. If you leave it to ripen, it'll turn yellow and it'll be a sweet banana. Here we have unripened regular bananas. We need them green. They're regular bananas that if you let them turn yellow, you could peel them and eat them. They're a banana. This one, not so much. This is a cooking banana. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Okay. Also, when you're using your cutting board, don't use your good side. Use the bad side, because these bananas make a mess with the sap. So I'm going to start cutting some of these things up for you so you can see. And every time you cut them up, you cut them up, you put them in the water, let the water soak them. Okay. Like I said, I don't do the grinder because I value my fingers, and it takes forever, which is why they have those pasteles party, like I was telling you about the other day. What I do is to peel this. Oh, and let me put my latex gloves on. And unfortunately, I had one pair of gloves, and I lost one of the gloves. So I'm just going to use it on the hand that needs it the most. If you don't use gloves, this stuff is going to turn your fingernails, under your fingernails, black. You're going to have all this sticky gook, like glue. It's going to be all over your hands and all under your nails. So do yourself a favor, guys, and use gloves. So to peel this quicker and faster, this is a really small one, a really small banana, but okay, I slice it on this end. Jeez, can you guys see what I'm doing? I slice it on this end of the banana, and then I turn it over and I slice it on the opposite end. It makes it easier for the skin to come off. Then I use the knife to wedge the skin away from the banana. And then I just peel it. Okay. And then I do the same for this one. Just wedge it right under the skin, between the skin and the banana. If you leave any skin on it, you could just take it off with the knife. Then what I do is I cut them into pieces, and I put them in the bowl of water. Okay. And the water is basically because I guess it's to keep the bananas from turning brown. All right. Technically, with this small amount, I probably would have just, because I'm teaching, I'm showing you guys how to do this. Normally, I would have, for this small amount, I would have just thrown them directly into my blender. So here we'll be doing this one, and again, get your fingers under that skin, so you can peel it off. Okay. Sometimes, like this will happen, but that's okay. I just peel it off. See? Break it right in half. Throw it in the water. Peel the rest of it. Okay. That could get broken in half also. Sometimes, this happens. I'll probably have a little black gook. See? My hand's already starting to feel sticky. Okay. And then I'm going to cut this one up. Alright, so I showed you guys how to do the unripened regular, green bananas. I am going to show you guys now the plantain, the green plantain. And again, to cut it easily, you cut off each end, just like the regular green bananas. I can cut it in half because it makes it easier to peel. And I slice it down, slice on this side, and then I turn it over and I slice it again. I wedge my knife in between, and I wedge it. I wiggle it off of the banana. And get your fingers under that skin. This one's a little harder, but you get your hands under that. And it's good also to wear your gloves when you're peeling these big ones, because there's been times that I've done it without my gloves, and this one don't really leave your hands black, the regular green plantain. But if you go and you go too far down into the banana, the banana piece will go dig right under your nail into your skin, and that is painful. So that's another good reason for wearing latex gloves. Okay. I'll do this again. Cut that up. We'll get that little piece of skin off. And now this, the tortilla, this is very, very easy to peel. Just get yourself a potato peeler. Let me clean this off. Makes it a lot easier if you keep your cleaning surfaces neat. Okay. You peel this off. Normally, I would do all my peeling in the sink. Clean out the sink and then rinse off this and then cut it. Because once this is peeled, you have to rinse it off to make sure you get off all that excess peel and I guess the dirt from, it does grow from the ground. So gotta get that nice and clean. This is a little slippery, but it doesn't leave your hands sticky. Okay. Now, if you wanted to make a large batch, let's say you wanted to make, I don't know, say you wanted to make 24 pasteles. You get yourself 12 large bananas, larger than these, or a few of these bags, and you get yourself a much larger tortilla, or 3 of these, and probably 2 of these would be good also for a larger batch. And I would use 2 plantains instead of the 1. Okay. So I'm going to rinse this thing. I'm going to rinse this off. Bear with me a second while I rinse it off. And rinsed. Okay, normally, I will clean off this whole board. Because I don't want any dirt getting back on this. Okay, I'm going to cut this in half. Cut it in half. Cut that in half. You want these small so that way the blender... And like I said, if you're making this in the blender, make sure it's a high-speed blender or your blender's really got to work well to grind all this up. I tried making this before I got that Ninja and it was impossible. Okay, so now we're going to just take this and I'm going to put it into the water. I'm going to finish peeling the rest of the bananas and I'll be back to show you how to blend them. Okay guys, so before I start blending up the vegetables to make the masa, I came to check on the stew. I tasted it and quite honestly, it needs more of my sofrito. So I'm going to add, because it's pretty bland, I'm going to add a tablespoon, maybe a little more. A tablespoon and a half of that sofrito. And it can also use a little more salt. I'm going to add a little more salt. That looked like a lot, guys. I know it looked like a lot, but it's really bland. There's, you know, it's a lot of stew, a lot of water in here. And just want to make sure. I mean, there's flavor to it, but it needed that more of an oomph. Especially since this liquid is going to go into our masa. Okay, I don't know. Oh, there. Now it was clear. So I'm going to try taste it now. See the beautiful color? All right, so just taste it and keep seasoning it to your taste, how you like it. Well, it's pretty good right now. I'm going to get this going. I got to take a cup of this stuff. And actually, I may just need a half a cup because I'm making such a small batch. We'll see. Okay. Hey, y'all. I wanted to show you something. This is the achote oil. They call it achote oil as well. Anato. This is what it looks like. They're little seeds. Okay, so what I do to make these is, to make the oil is, I take a pot, and depending on how much you want, that's how big your pot should be. Okay, I take this and I fill it up with oil up to here. Up to here. Don't fill it all the way up to the top because that is dangerous. I fill the oil up to here, canola oil, vegetable, whichever one you use. Canola or vegetable, sunflower, whichever one you use, fill it up to here. A little more than halfway, but not up to the top at all. You put this on a low heat, a low flame, and depending on how much oil you have, for a pot like this size, I would put 2 caps of this. See the cap on the top? I would fill that cap twice and put it and add the seeds into the oil. Let it cook. Let it simmer on low heat. You'll be surprised how fast oil heats up. And if you want it darker, add more seeds. Once it's done, you take a sieve like this. You put it over another pot. And then you take the pot that has the oil and the seeds in it. You pour it over this, put the sieve over the empty pot. Pour this oil through the sieve so it empties out into the pot that's underneath the sieve. The leftover achote seeds that are in the sieve, just get rid of them because you can't use them twice. So I just wanted to show you how to do the oil since I already did it. So I hope this little demonstration helps you out. Okay, here we are, guys. Got the blender out. And now I'm going to start adding all this into the blender. And since I don't have a pot, because they're, aside from grating it on a grater, they do have pasteles machines, that masa machines that you run your bananas and everything through it, and it just grinds everything up beautifully. But unfortunately, with blenders, they need a little extra help. So rather than waiting till after everything is blended up, I'm going to add some of the liquid color and liquid flavoring while it's blending up, because the liquids is what's gonna help this blend. So let's see what happens. Let's start blending. And you will have to pulse and scrape it down until it gets to a nice smooth mixture. For the color, I'm going to add some of this achote oil. This is also just a little, not much. Okay. This is also going to help blend it. See? Because there's so little in there. Let's get this thing to scrape it down. Scrape this down here. Okay, let's get this started on low. Now what I'm also going to do is, this is a cup of the stew water from the vegan pork that we're going to fill up the pasteles with. So here's a cup. I'm going to pour in, I'll put in half of it. See how it's starting to blend? You open your little lid. There's a little lid on top. Start putting some of my chopped up ones in here. The color is beautiful. Okay. Let's scrape it down. I'm going to add the last. I'm going to add the last of it. The flavoring, the broth from the vegan pork. I think this is the smallest batch I've ever made. So I'm being real careful with it not to mess it up, guys. Okay. Scrape it down. Pulse it a little. And we're going to go from low, medium, and high. Don't be afraid to let it blend long. It's not going to thin out or anything. It's just going to be more smoother. push down the last little bit of the excess that's on the sides. It's a nice texture. Okay, pulse it a little. Okay, scrape it down a little bit more. Let it grate. Let it grate. Oh, jeez. Let it blend. Don't be afraid to let it blend because those little pieces need to get really liquefied with everything. Okay. So it's done blending. Make sure you get everything out. And it's always good to use a rubber spatula because it cleans everything out. It leaves like basically nothing behind. And now we're gonna season this. I really like to season the masa because the masa is where I remember it being kind of bland. And it wasn't just from one person. It was from a lot of people, you know. It's just, you know, the way that they, you know, others make it. You make it how you like it. Like I said, it's always your recipe. You do what you want to do that makes you happy. So what makes me happy is seasoning the masa a little more. That way you can really taste it when it comes out. But just remember, when you boil these, once they're all wrapped up, and the video on how to wrap them is right before I post this video. When you put your pasteles to boil, make sure the water's boiling first and it's salted like the sea, like with pasta. Unless your masa tastes a little too salty, which is why you need to taste your masa while you're seasoning it. So how I season my masa is... Oh, I put all my seasonings away, huh? Okay. Get everything. My dog, my Miss Bonnie, is talking to her neighbor dog. So what I do is I add a little bit of salt, a little garlic powder. You can even add some turmeric to this if you like. Onion powder. A little bit of oregano. A little bit of oregano. And once again, my pepper is missing. And here it is. There you go. And can add a little bit more of the liquid from the soy chunks, which, by the way, guys, I had to season it up more. It's beautiful now. It tastes so good. That's why you need to taste everything as you go. Oh, sorry about that. So do you see this? Okay, mix it all in. And since the liquid that I put in here from the soy chunk stew is, you know, oh, that's good. Is still like hot, or, you know, still hot. I would put this in the refrigerator for a while until it thickens up, till it cools off and it's thickened. And here it is. This is your masa. Let me show you the texture. And you know, you could freeze this too. And when you're ready to use it, just take it out the freezer. and it lasts a long time in the freezer. So there it is, guys. And to wrap it, just check out my video that's gonna be under this one. I posted that video yesterday. And I'm gonna show you what the stew looks like now. Here it is. Here's the stew. It is good. It is so freaking good. Just keep tasting it as it goes along. I'd say we had this cooking for about a good hour. The meat, I have to show you what this looks like. It's so hot. You can see it's falling. It's literally falling apart. It's falling apart. It's like pork. Like pork. And nobody got hurt. Nobody suffered. And it's delicious. Now, for the garbanzo beans, you open up your garbanzo beans, your cans up of garbanzo beans, you empty it into a strainer, you rinse them out, you put them in a bowl. The same for your olives. If you don't want everything like, you want to make sure that there's not too much acidity in your pasteles, you could put your olives in a strainer or a sieve and rinse them off too. So that's basically it. And put them in a bowl, and then you start wrapping everything up, and that'll be in the video that I'll leave the link for you guys. And I am tired, guys. I'm making these pasteles, and this was a small batch. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you make this pasteles for the holidays or for whenever, because pasteles don't only have to be for the holidays. It could be for whatever you like. You can make as much or as little as you like. And it freezes. You can freeze pasteles for up to a year. That's how long it lasts in the freezer. Okay, I appreciate you guys. I love you. Have a great weekend, a safe Halloween, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.